Hello, me. Meet the real me. In my misfits way of life. The dark black past is my most valued possession. Hindsight is always 20/20. Looking back, it's still a bit fuzzy. Speak of mutually assured destruction.
Guys and girls and everything in between, my name is Scott Bakula, and this is your favorite YouTuber giving you a collection update. Thank you for watching. Thanks for joining me. If you haven't subscribed yet, it's free. It's good for you only. Got a bunch of stuff in. I like metal. You like metal? Do you ever wonder if us metal YouTubers are wearing pants or not in our videos? Don't ask questions that you don't want the answers to. So, been buying some stuff. Yeah. While we talk, you and me have this back and forth round table about horrid, sordid, satanic nightmares. You will hear over my shoulder in the background the brilliant technicality and awe-inspiring progressive metal sounds of none other than Spiral Architect, a skeptic's universe. The guys from Radical Research talk about this record a lot, and I love hearing someone finally give this album the recognition that it deserves. It is a masterpiece. I don't really care at all about technicality in metal, or prog techie kind of metal, but it is seriously impressive with this band, and I have loved this record from the get-go. I can't really explain my instantaneous love for it, but I've loved it since the day I first heard it. This is a Norwegian kind of supergroup kind of thing. They only did this one full length. There's an EP demo kind of thing that came out before it, but I think it's all the same songs that are on here. But man, what an insanely great album. It's got Asgeir Mikkelsen from Borknagar on drums, if that, you know, floats your fancy or whatnot. Killer artwork actually in here. Just a lot of really cool players on this, and just the songwriting on it is so memorable. I guess just what speaks to the instantaneous, like, gluing to my memory is just that it's so fucking good. It's just so well written, and I don't know why there's just some weird fluke of a super technical, brilliant, proggy tech album out of Norway from the year 2001, I want to say, 2000 in fact, that no one's ever heard of, that's like my favorite prog technical album ever. Yeah, this sentence just pooped on itself. So that's that. So, last weekend I went to Chicago for my first Chicago Metal Market. I had seen this go on in other cities throughout the years, and I'm kind of jealous about it, and I'd seen it advertised, or I got invited to Facebook events for it in the past years, and I just always thought, it probably sucks. So this year I decided to finally go, just for the hell of it. And I'll probably not go again. It was small. Apparently they do it like twice a year. Maybe they should just do it once a year. It was just 90% vinyl, 90% just like vinyl reissues of classic traditional heavy metal records and stuff. Just not my thing. Not what I expected it to be. I wanted it to be like a collector's paradise or something. I don't know. Just why should I think that it would have catered to me whatsoever? But yeah, that's what happened. So instead of buying much of anything, we went around, my buddy Brandon and I, who was probably watching this. Hey Brandon. We went around to some other record stores and picked up some shit. But the one thing I did buy at the Chicago Metal Market is this fucking superb classic, Merciless, The Awakening. I didn't know it, I guess, but Osmos reissued this in 2014, and they did a great job of it. but I haven't checked yet since Osmos did it. The track list is probably out of order. Comes on this beautiful smoky gray vinyl. It does sound good, but it threw some live bonus tracks on the end of it. So makes for a really, really, really long list of songs to be fitting on one LP. We've got 6 songs on side A, and then 6 songs on side B. So, I don't know, 12 tracks is a little lengthy, but yeah, this is just an absolute must-have classic, and I'm happy to have it with the original artwork on it. The CD edition, if you don't know, kind of hard to come by with the proper Gustav Dort artwork. Excuse me. By the way, thanks for letting me do my last video without killing me. I appreciated a lot of the feedback that I got on it, and I appreciate all you stick with me, even though we're not talking about the same thing all the time. We gotta step out of our comfort zone every once in a while. Chicago is good at having a Reckless Records chain, and they usually come through pretty hard for me. So Brandon and I visited 2 Reckless Records locations, one of which I've been to twice now this year, and I think I'm done going there, even though I had to pick up a few things. The downtown location, like the very, very downtown location, just sucks. So there's one location, and I can't remember where it is on my phone. I would look it up and let you know, but it's over by like Myopic Books and Quimby's and stuff like that. That location usually still comes through pretty hard. So I wound up picking up the new Primordial, Exile Among the Ruins. It's new-ish, I think 2018. Yeah. Man, Primordial, they're not a band that I reach for very often. It's just kind of one of those bands that, like, it's worth getting their new record every time they put one out, because it refreshes your appreciation for the band. They're super talented. They're amazing songwriters. They don't need to do anything different, but they somehow manage to write albums that make it worth sticking with them, you know? They're just a super killer band, and I've been a fan of them for a really long time. And if I can find it, I'll insert a picture of myself hanging out with singer Alan Nethemgianga, if that's how you pronounce that. Also picked up Sorcière de Glace with The Pure Essence of Primitive Forests. That's a really smart, clever, and poetic, beautiful thing to say about your music. This is a band everybody seems real hyped on. I checked them out and I wasn't too feeling it, but this was cheap, so I decided to give it a shot. And there are some really, really killer elements about it, but there are some also very, very just poopy things about it. It seems like the vocalist is maybe bankrolling everything that this band does, so he thinks that his voice has to be twice as loud as everything else on the recording. I don't know why I'm showing you this. There's nothing to look at here. A picture. Another picture. Hey, have you guys ever seen this this one or this one? Cool pictures are cool. You know, so it's kind of like this grim and frosty, but post black metal-y kind of thing. The vocals, though, not only are they really loud, they're just also just like really on the nose. Kind of like Agalloch to me. There's a lot of like similarities with Agalloch here, and I don't like Agalloch, so I don't know. It is what it is. It's okay. Also picked up. So I have been talking with some buds who are getting crazy about this band, and from what I've heard, it is really good. The band is called Reverorum Ibmalact. They're an Italian, purportedly Catholic outfit. No, not Italian. Why do I think Italian? Catholicism. Swedish band. This is a really, really weird release, and I can't really speak wholly about the band because this is all I've heard. but I think I think I'm right in saying that their other albums are a little bit more fleshed out and musical and a little bit more black metal, maybe a lot more black metal than this actually is. But this is, most importantly, utterly terrifying. This is so bizarre and just haunting and just bone-chilling. It seriously makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up. So this album is called... shit, I don't know. I don't think it's called this Sanctus. I don't know. Maybe this Terragios Neromai or whatever. Numine. It's rarely is it musical. It's got black metal drums, but there's a lot of like vocal synthesizing going on. Just creepy vocal effects and weird noises and layering and textures of just haunting kinds of ambient sort of ghostly sounds. It's pretty original and just, it's like, you'll be thinking that it's just like okay every once in a while, but then something will come along and just like goose you in the back. It's just, it's terrifying when it happens. So they have a knack for figuring out how to make sounds do exactly what they want it to do, and it's pretty cool to hear them pull it off. Okay, also picked up the very first album of Dark Woods, My Betrothed. This is Heirs of the North Star. Heirs of the North Star. Man, this fucking rules. Please listen to this. This is a fucking riff bible if ever there was one. So this originally came out in 1995, if I'm not mistaken, and it was reissued by Culture Records in 2011. So it's standard issue Scandinavian black metal. It's like, it doesn't bother with atmosphere. It just sounds great like a black metal band should from 95. There's really nothing heady about it. It's just riffs. It's insanely intense vocals when they're good. The vocalist, I'm not sure if two guys are like trading off vocals or if the vocalist is just doing two different things, but the clean vocals, now I'm kind of used to it because I worship 90s black metal a lot, but maybe you've heard bands like this try and pull off this like but then also he has this second voice that is just utterly devastating. The dude is, I don't know, he just sounds like he's turned inside out, screaming his absolute brains off. It is amazing. This floored me. I drove home from Chicago. It takes about 4 hours to drive home from Chicago. I listened to this twice on the way home. Oh, it's so good. And it builds and it builds and it gets better and better. And then the last song, track 7, is 16 minutes long, and that song just builds and builds and builds, and it's so damn good. I highly urge you to check this out if this is up your alley. Chandler, for sure, should be on that shit. The last thing I picked up in Chicago is this LP, and I got a couple other LPs here to talk about. Paysage de Verre, the debut demo Steinreich. I think this also came out in 95. Was it 98? Either way, this is another 3-song, 3-sided double LP. The etching is cool. You can look it up on Instagram or something. But you all know Paysage de Verre, near and dear to my heart. Wintry, frosty, minimalistic black metal. And so when I first became a fan of this band, I heard the self-titled record and I dwelled on that record, and I have pretty much stayed with my feet both firmly planted on the self-titled record. But I've listened to Steinreich a couple times, and it is incredible. And it's surprising how different it sounds from his other records. It looks like Kunsthal is reissuing maybe the rest of his material but you got to be careful. Some of it is ambient, and I do not care for his ambient that much, and I don't see the point of flipping over vinyl 4 times to listen to wintry ambient music. So that's that. Next, let's see. I went down to my local record store the other day because I needed sleeves because my cat pooped all over my record sleeves. And I dug through the metal vinyl section, and this was in there. And somebody I follow, maybe on Instagram or something, was going nuts about another release by this band. And I listened to it and checked it out and liked it. And this was in there for $12, so I decided to grab it, and it is pretty good. I haven't listened to it very much. I want to say I only spun one side of it, but because I keep going back to that other album. The thing about it is, like, what is this even called? So the band is called Illithil. I'll put links down below for you, of course. But Illithil is the band, and this release is called La Wind or something like that. I don't know. I really wish you would help us out with some words here. This was put out by Psychic Violence. It's got 4 tracks on it. It is, as you can probably tell, just post-black metal in every sense of the word. There's no insert, there's no anything to help you fucking consume more of this album than there is musically. It's pretty minimalistic, and it kind of pisses me off that they don't go to any effort of, like, you know, giving you some information about this record whatsoever. But it's pretty good. Post-black metal. It seems like there's a shit ton. There's almost a scene of, like, atmospheric post-black metal kind of stuff on Bandcamp. Everybody's got a vinyl and a CD and a tape, and it's limited and it's sold out. And this is definitely that kind of thing. And I find a lot of that stuff to be really dime a dozen. But this is really good. Illithil with La Wind. Also picked up the new full length, maybe it's an EP, from Acid Leather. It's called Baptized in Acid. DIY release. I'm sure you can pick this up on their Bandcamp page. These guys are killer, from Columbia, Missouri. They play here in town pretty often, and they're good dudes to go see live. Super fun. But I honestly didn't really enjoy this tape. Like, my idea of them in my head was what I had seen live, and then I bought this tape and I was like, ugh, it's not what I was expecting. This is like a scene. I'm not sure if it's all Midwest or all Missouri bands or whatnot, but they're called, like, Punks Go Metal, and that's totally what it is. So, like, if you wanted to hear, like, I don't know, crusty punks playing, like, traditional metal, kind of thrashy stuff, old school kind of deal, this is really good. It's well written, but the recording on this is a little too DIY for my liking. Link down below so you can check it out, though. You are the final decider in that. My buddy Pat from Ground Zero Salem sent me a box yesterday with a bunch of goodies. One of which I forgot. It's upstairs. It's a big crematory back patch. I think I'll probably just put it up on the wall here or something. But he sent me 2 releases from his friend Josh, or John. I think John. He is starting a new label called Cult of 9 Records. And he has 3 releases out, cultof9.bigcartel.com, link down below. He sent me 2 of his 3 releases, most notably Dreams of the Drowned with 1 I don't know. Not much to look at here, but this is awesome. So Pat, I really appreciate you forcing this into my home. Dreams of the Drowned had like 2 EPs or a demo about 10 years ago, so this is the first time we've heard from Dreams of the Drowned in a long time. But Pat wrote me a note that said that this sounded like Bad Boy and Zenda, so he had to shoot me a copy of it. And man, like, you can't possibly listen to this record without bringing up Bad Boy and Zenda as a comparison. It is uncanny, the similarities between it, and it is exciting. It's not in a bad way. It's not in a tired or boring way. If you're going to play something influenced by Vedboy and Zend, one of my favorite bands. You better bring it right, and this totally does. I played like one track on it so far tonight, and it is super great. And then another thing of note here is there's a cover of Dodheimsgard's Midnattsskogen Sorta Kjörna, which I saw live, as you can see, a track list from Dodheimsgard's performance in Chicago. So Dreams of the Drowned. I look forward to checking out the rest of this record. Thank you, Pat. Where are we going here? And he also sent me this two-way split between Fed Ash and Landfill. Just balls to the wall, noise to the wall, balls to the noise wall, grind. It's been a really long time since I listened to grind, and especially heard any new grind. And this was really, really fun. It's just blasting absolute piss and vinegar filled anger, and it's really, really good. Fed Ash and Landfill. Only had a chance to listen to very little of both of those, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. But you can hear the washer going crazy in the background. So music was kind of hard for me when I was going through watching my mom pass away over the last few months. It seemed really important for me to, I don't know, I guess, I don't know if you're like me, but I use music, I need music to kind of assimilate emotively. So if I'm feeling really pissed off, I want to hear really pissed off music. If I'm feeling pretty happy and pleasant, I usually want to hear something pretty melodic and just kind of riffy and fun, or brutal and fast. Something that's kind of like uplifting and not too emotion-y or anything. Emotion-y. So it was really important to listen to something that like helped me out and helped me work through my emotions while I was bawling my head off watching my mom deteriorate day by day. And you know, I kind of tried out a few things. Acoustic music, sad music, of course, was what felt good. But you know, some sad music did it for me, like Low. Vali's Forlot has always been a really great kind of sorrowful kind of thing. But I looked a little deeper, and what really did it for me was an album that I actually listened to with my mom while we were driving around town a couple of months ago, and just talking and just kind of realizing like this might be the last drive around town that we have together. And honestly, I think it was, now that I think about it. But I put on my friend Jake's Quercus Alba record, and then I listened to it more and more. I listened to it as my mom kind of faded out from reality, and it became a place of solace for me to listen to, and that just became really, really important. And so Jake sent me his newest release, which is a split between his project Quercus Alba and Vorde. This is a beautiful, beautiful release. So Jake's stuff is acoustic, like I said. He's got a lot of really cool instrumentation. It's just really lush acoustic music, and it's just pleasing. It's pleasant, and it's not all that sorrowful or mournful or anything. Just black wax. So I don't want you to get the impression necessarily that it's just like the music you listen to when your mom is dying. It's just really peaceful, and just utterly beautiful. Has an insert here. So Jake moved to Minnesota from Montana with my buddy Jory, who is in Nephrons. They played in a band together. Can't remember what it was called. So this is a split between him and Vorde, which is from Maine. And this is Jordan Guaret, who I believe plays in False Auroras also. So solo project of, no, not solo. There's a bunch of players on here actually. I hope I'm getting that right. And Vorde is not what I expected, honestly. It is really jazzy and experimental, kind of like 70s influenced, kind kind of maybe touching upon some things that I'm not really familiar with enough to make comparisons, but nice painting in there too. I think Jake might have painted the cover on this. Jake is also a talented painter. Miss hanging out with you, Jake, but thank you for the thoughtful gift in my time of need. A couple more releases. I am really rambling on here. Soul Cellar Records finally reissued Malignant Eternal's Tarnet, classic Norwegian black metal from '94. Long out of print on Hot Records. I've only listened to this about once through, and it's pretty good. It sounds a lot like Covenant or early Dimmu Borgir. They also did this EP by Dold Navn. So this is kind of a Norwegian supergroup featuring Havard from Ulver and dude from Dodhemsgard, I can't think of his name right now. Vikotnik from Dodhemsgard. So he is the vocalist in this band, and I don't know, I'm just not feeling it. I was really, really hyped when I learned that Havard and Vikotnik were playing in a band together. Also, I can't remember who else is in this or not, but it didn't really hit like I hoped that it would. The first song I'm gonna say is bad. The second song is redemptive, and it gets better and better. It's just a 4-song EP though. The vocals are pretty good. I think they have a good footing upon which to grow, but I'm just kind of not feeling this so much. Maybe if I'm in the mood a little bit more, it'll do something for me. Also picked up Dreadlord, Execution of the Week. So this was just kind of a blind buy. When I was talking about Eusipian, who we'll get to in a moment, Dead Corner of the Eye, the production on this album is flawless and amazing, and I wanted to listen to and buy a lot of other releases that Anders Lundmark is the guy who produced that record. He also did this one. So Dreadlord is a brutal, just crank to 11, all fucking full speed, brutal death metal. Maybe even a little bit too intense for me. It is fun and barbaric, knuckle-dragging death metal, and I knew what I was getting into. However, the Eusipian is becoming one of the greatest death metal records I've ever heard. I cannot stop listening to it, so I ordered it on vinyl. Even though I said CD was the preferred listening format, I listen to CDs, I play CDs in my car, I tote them back and forth between here and out there and whatnot, but vinyl is where I enshrine my love for a record, and I have done that with Dead Corner of the Eye. This was put out by Serpent Pulse. It looks like I bought the last copy of this on CD in America, so you might have to go looking on eBay or something. Black vinyl, nothing fancy, just a nice insert. There you go. But man, what a killer fucking release. I don't know. I feel like I've said everything there is to be said about that. It is so damn good. Lastly, picked up 2 full lengths from Belial from Finland. This is Wisdom of Darkness, and this came out originally in '93 and was recorded in Tico Studios, who I believe also did Demigod's Slumber of Solenize. This would be spoken alongside albums like Demigod, Seance, stuff like that, if it weren't so goddamn weird. There's a lot of weird little like intros and interludes going on that make it really weird, but the metal itself is awesome. Belial are a band that I have heard of for years and years, and I never really got around to digging into. And I found that the original version of this record go for way too much money, so I got a reissue on Funeral Industries. Not too much to look at, but it's just fun to have on CD. It's a killer Finnish classic. Also picked up their second full length. I remember seeing this album cover in a lot of catalogs because it was just so offensive. This is the reissue that is way less offensive, and I think this is just fucking terrible artwork, honestly. But Never Again finds this Finnish death metal band playing a lot more like Impaled Nazarene kind of style stuff, where it's like, I don't really know how to describe the riffing, but there's definitely a distinct, like, more modern Finnish sound that has more in common with, I guess maybe it was a progression out of like the Harrod, but it just seems like they're taking their chords on their fretboards and just going like, and Mythos is kind of another example of stuff like that too, but I don't know what else to say about it. It sounds great. It's really, really weird, and it's fun. Glad to have it. So that is the collection update for now. I've got to work a 11-hour shift tomorrow, so gonna get to bed early. Hopefully I can sleep, and we'll see you next time. Let me know what you've been jamming in the comments down below, and we'll see you next time.
Hello, me. Meet the real me. In my misfits way of life. The dark black past is my most valued possession. Hindsight is always 20/20. Looking back, it's still a bit fuzzy. Speak of mutually assured destruction. Nice story. Tell the Reader's Digest. Feeling paranoid, true enemy, your false friend. Anxiety is attacking me, my hair is getting thin. I'm in trouble for the things I haven't got to yet. I'm chopping at the bit, my palms are getting wet.
Wang Bollards!
Hello, me, it's me again. You can subdue but never tame me. It gives me my greatest honor. Sinking down to your level. Yeah, just keep thinking that's all my fault. And stick an inch or two at a kicking distance.